In this video, we'll be looking at question 1.1 from 5CO01. You should have read the scenario and know that this question is asking you to evaluate how suitable different organizational structures were under different owners, weighing up their impact and effectiveness. Just to be clear, this guidance shows you the methodology and approach, but you're responsible for the actual content, research, and conclusions. Use this as your roadmap, but make sure your answer is your own work. With that said, let's walk through how to approach this step by step. First up, understanding the question. Take a close look at the command verb. When you see evaluate the extent to which, it's not just asking for a description, it wants a critical judgment. So, you'll need to weigh both the strengths and weaknesses of each structure in the scenario. Focus on how each one fits the organization's context and objectives. Look for key terms like flat, non-hierarchical structure, hierarchical, bureaucratic structure, appropriate, and suitable. And remember, what really matters is how these structures impact performance, culture, employee experience, and outcomes within the organization. Don't get sidetracked by unrelated HR topics or generic pros and cons. Everything should link back to the scenario and the question. All right, now let's talk about making judgments, not just describing what happened. Move beyond just retelling the story. Ask yourself, how well did each structure support the organization's goals and values under different ownership? Use evaluative language. Say things like, particularly well suited, created challenges, or somewhat limited by. Think about different perspectives: employees, residents, owners. Give reasons for your judgments. For instance, if you notice high retention under one owner, ask why that happened and what changed later. Always aim for a balanced view. Look at both the positives and the negatives. Next, let's get into planning your answer. Start with a short intro, just a sentence or two, explaining why organizational structure actually matters for performance and culture in the case study. Then, split your main answer into two clear sections. One evaluating the flat structure, one looking at the hierarchical structure. Keep the word count roughly even for both. If it helps, compare the two as you go to highlight what makes each one different. End with a short, punchy conclusion that sums up your overall judgment. Each paragraph should make a clear point. Back it up with evidence from the scenario and academic theory. Explain why it matters, and always link back to the original question. Here's the thing, using the assessment criteria is crucial. Make sure you're covering different structure types, why those structures were chosen, and their advantages and disadvantages. Use the criteria to guide what evidence or theory you bring in. That might mean referencing academic models of organizational structure, or research on how structure and culture go hand in hand. Organize your answer around these key themes to show you've got the criteria covered. Now, when it comes to using sources and referencing, pick 2 or 3 solid academic sources that directly address organizational structures and their impact. Each source should strengthen a specific point you're making, not just be there for the sake of it. Paraphrase theory or research findings to show you really understand them. Don't just drop in a quote. Use Harvard referencing in text and list the full details at the end, depending on what's required. This is important. Integrate your references in a way that adds value to your analysis. Connecting theory to the scenario is where you can really shine. Every time you make an analytical point, back it up with a concrete example from the case study. For example, if a flat structure encouraged engagement, say how that played out in the scenario and link it to relevant theory. Show you understand both the academic concepts and their real-world effects. Make it clear that your evaluation is rooted in what actually happened. So how do you aim for top marks? Prioritize depth over breadth. Don't try to cover everything. Pick the most relevant points and really dig into them. Choose sources and theories that directly support what you're arguing. Build logical, well-supported arguments, and always consider different perspectives. Remember, what works for one organization or context might not work for another. Acknowledge that complexity in your answer. Finally, let's talk about writing clearly and concisely. Be selective. Only include what directly answers the question. Use short, direct sentences and avoid repeating yourself. Each paragraph should have a clear reason for being there and move your analysis forward. Proofread your work for clarity, coherence, and flow. Every word should earn its place. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, give it a like and subscribe for more videos in this series. Check out the rest of our 5CO01 playlist for more guidance on tackling your assignments. Good luck with your answer.